What is good, everyone? What is good? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're jumping back into the Go Battle League arena, this time for the first time into the Fossil Cup. Now, this cup has been around before, but it is new to this rotation. And this cup is going to be featuring some exclusive Pokemon typings, those being water Pokemon, steel Pokemon, and rock type Pokemon. And that's it. Dual typings are allowed, but the eligible Pokemon for this cup do have to fall under one of those three listed typings. Meaning that once again, we will have a cup where we can abuse counter users. This is becoming a recurring theme in a lot of these themed or limited cups. Counter is an absolutely busted fast move. But in this instance, we are able to utilize, or let's not say abuse, even though that's kind of what it is, but utilize a different Pokemon that doesn't get too much play, especially in the Great League, and that's going to be Lucario. Now, Lucario is going to be an absolutely busted safe switch. If you haven't found this out already, please do yourself a favor, invest in a Lucario if you don't already have one built. Use this Pokemon as your safe swap. It has fantastic play into pretty much everything, as there's very little in this meta that is going to be resisting counter, and even some Pokemon that will be resisting it, like Pelipper, for example, are not going to be appreciating the damage that it's going to be accumulating, especially when that damage is boosted by Power Up Punch. This ABB type line also is going to, as always, draw out the hardest counters to the Pokemon that we're going to be keeping safe and sound in the back, this one being Escavalier. So Escav, another counter user, also has fantastic play into this limited meta, not only because of the fast move pressure applied by counter, but also because its charge move of Drill Run. Now, I am also running Mega Horn. We're very infrequently going to be able to get to it, but Drill Run is a fantastic move that allows it, Escav, to hit Pokemon for super effective damage like Registeel, like other steel types, as well as Lantern, and deal meaningful neutral damage onto those mud boys like Swampert and Quag, and is also going to allow you to at least provide some chip damage onto Jellicent. And speaking of the Ghost Jelly, we will be running a Jellicent of our own in the lead position. Jellicent is here to cover up pretty much all of the weaknesses of our back two Pokemon, that being primarily other counter users as well as ground type Pokemon like the aforementioned Quagsire, Swampert, as well as any fire users. First one that comes to mind, as you will see in the battles, is going to be Mawile with Fire Fang. Now, this was the first team that I ran in this limited cup, and it's absolutely busted, as you'll see. If you do want a pretty meta team, I'm not sure if it's meta, but I'm pretty positive by the end of this rotation, it will be a meta team. So if you're looking for something that will allow you to climb, I don't want to say easily, but it'll provide you with the utility that you need to climb in the Fossil Cup, go ahead and take a look at this team. But regardless, sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and hop straight into some battles. Hopping into the first battle, we have Jellicent on the lead against Ludicolo. Only in the limited cups like the Fossil Cup will you see a Pokemon like Ludicolo, as we will be pivoting immediately into our safe swap of Lucario, as Ludicolo will be running the fast move of Razor Leaf. Now, this isn't great for us. Although we do grab a shield from the opponent, we do get countered down, and more importantly, the switch clock, because counter does so much damage to Lucario, the switch clock has not even come close to running out yet, as we now have to stay in here with our Jellicent. However, Razor Leaf isn't doing a crazy amount of damage, as we are able to get to the Shadow Ball and fire off that Shadow Ball into the opponent's Ludicolo. We go for the swap just before our Jellicent gets farmed down, and we will be seeing a Registeel in the back. Now, we have one shield to the opponent's one shield, and this is looking pretty good for us, as we do force them to expend their final shield with that Drill Run. And like this, we can easily shield up the Zap Cannon. It's not crazy significant that we do get the attack drop here, as the opponent will be getting KO'd by this Drill Run. Bang! See you later, Registeel. They bring back in their Ludicolo. Ludicolo is going to be running Ice Beam and Leaf Storm meaning our Escav can tank either one of those moves, get the counter down onto the Ludicolo as Escavalier calls game. Well played by the opponent. Thank you for the match. Hopping into the next battle, we have Registeel on the lead against Jellicent. Now, this isn't a great lead for us, but especially us running an ABB type line means we need to pivot out as fast as possible because the Jellicent will be providing more utility for us elsewhere. We pivot into our Lucario and we're able to draw out the opponent's Mudboy, that being the Quagsire. Now, I did build up a massive amount of energy here and we're able to grab the opponent's first shield as a result of that. But now we're getting to the second power-up punch and we're going to be firing it immediately. And now we are double boosted in our attack. We've grabbed a shield from our opponent and we've seen that the opponent does have a Registeel, which tells me that I'm okay going all shields down to farm down the opponent's Quagsire. We now have a double boosted Lucario, and there's pretty much nothing in this meta that wants to see this Pokemon right now. Opponent brings in a Lucario of their own, and 2 counters do nearly half of the opponent's health, as we will be bringing in our Escavalier. Escavalier gonna go for the farm down, but instead opponent pivots out into their Registeel. We will easily be able to outpace the Registeel there, but they may have been able to get to a charge move. Wouldn't have been able to KO us though, and like this, we're gonna call game. Well played by the opponent. Thank you for the match. Hopping into the next battle, we have the same lead, Reggie on the lead against our Lucario, or against our Jellicent rather, but we're going to immediately safe swap into Lucario, fire off the power punch. We're now boosted in our attack by 1 stage. We're easily going to shield up the opponent's Zap Cannon, go for the farm down, but instead opponent counter swapping into their Swampert. We're going to be firing off this power punch as soon as we get it, and we want to deal as much damage into this Swampert as possible before getting KO'd. And bang, Hydro Cannon easily able to one-shot our glassy Lucario, but we can bring in Jellicent, and this isn't terrible for us as the opponent will be able to survive this Surf, but we can go for the farm down after that. Question is, are we going to be able to farm them down before they get to the EQ? Will this be the Earthquake? Yes, it is, and that does a massive amount of damage to our Jellyfish with the opponent's Registeel coming back in, but no, it's going to be a Ferrothorn. So the opponent running ABA Steel, not great for them as they are encountering our ABB counter team, as the opponent was able to land a Thunder onto us, and we're going to fire off this drill run just before the opponent gets to their next charge move, as they will be there right as they're throwing one final Bullet Seed. However, we are outpacing them right now, so we're able to grab 2 shields from the opponent. Now, this is very likely going to be a Power Whip bait, and it is the Power Whip shield bait, but I'm hoping that we can farm down the Ferrothorn. Opponent brings in their Registeel, and Registeel 1 turn away from getting to the next charge move. But like this, we're able to counter down Registeel and force the opponent to top left. GG's, well played by them. Thank you for the match. Hopping into the next battle, we have a fantastic lead. Jellicent on the lead against the opponent's Escav. They're going to safe swap into a Steel type Pokemon. It's going to be another Ferrothorn, and we're going to safe swap or counter swap into our Lucario. Now, unfortunately, I do shield the Power Whip, but it's not horrible for us as we are able to fire off this Power Up Punch, and we will be able to counter down the opponent before they're able to reach another charge move, as the Escav will be coming back in, taking neutral damage due to its bug typing from these counters, but they will start adding up quickly, especially now that we are boosted by 2 stages in our attack, and now that will be 3. As we're able to deal significant damage, we get the opponent's Escav into single hex range with our Lucario. Lucario's an absolute monster. We can tank that drill run with our Jellicent, and we do see the opponent's final Pokemon, and it will be a Jellicent of their own. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky as we can fire off the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball does massive damage onto our opponent's Jellicent. That was our win condition. This would have been a lot trickier if they had shielded that up. They called the bait, but I full sent the Shadow Ball, and like this, we can pivot into our Escav, farm down the opponent's Ghost Jelly, farm down the opponent's Ferrothorn as Escavalier calls game. Well played by the opponent. Thank you for the match. Unfortunate for them, they were not able to call the bait correctly. Hopping into the next battle, we have Shadow Mawile, the Fire Fang user, on the lead. Opponent going to safe swap into their Golisopod, and this is going to be horrible for us. I'm staying in this matchup, admittedly, because I don't know how to play it. Nothing on our line wants to see this Golisopod here, as I will eventually pivot out into Escav. Liquidation does massive damage. I was not expecting it to do that much. We do get to the Mega Horn, and we will be firing this off into the opponent, but they do smartly shield Shadow Claw down, and I really don't know how to play this out. I don't have anything for this Pokemon. This is the hardest counter, I think, looking at the meta right now. I think it is the hardest counter to this team, as we really have nothing that wants to see this Pokemon. It is resisting our counters, it's resisting Drill Run from our Escav, and it's also going to be able to deal super effective Shadow Claw damage onto our Jellicent, as this Golisopod is now essentially 1v3'd us. It has destroyed our Lucario, taken out our Escav, and it has gotten our Jellicent extremely low. And this is all just for the formalities here, as opponent no shields the Shadow Ball. We're gonna fire off the Surf. We're fighting the good fight here, playing it out, but like we said, it's already curtains. This is a GG, as the opponent does reveal their final Pokemon, and it will be the Kartana, as Kartana calls game. Well played by the opponent. Shouts out the Ultra Beast. Thank you for the match. Hopping into the next battle, we have another tough lead. Lantern on the lead against our Jellicent. We're going to safe swap into our Lucario, and opponent counter swaps into a Lucario of their own, meaning they're going to have to expend one shield here, block our power up punch to get the farm down with their own Lucario to preserve alignment. Now, this isn't horrible for us, as Lantern is not a great matchup for our Jellicent, but we can stall out the switch clock with a Shadow Ball here. As the opponent building up energy, we are able to outpace them. We get to the Shadow Ball after farming down the opponent's Lucario, fire off the Shadow Ball, and we are able to get the opponent's Lantern to below 50% HP. So this is looking good for us. We're going to expend our first shield. We're now at even shields 1-to-1 to block the opponent's Thunderbolt. Will that Jellicent come in handy for us later on? I'm kind of regretting it right now, as we call the opponent's bait, and it is just going to be the Surf, but Surf still doing massive damage onto our Escav. Escav now below 50% HP, as we still don't know what the opponent has in the back, but we do now know that it more than likely does not want to see Escavalier, as opponent did expend their final shield to block our Drill Run, and it will be a Registeel in the back. So it definitely makes sense now why the opponent was preserving their Lantern. They wanted to keep Reggie away from our Escav, but Reggie able to survive a Drill Run as well as some corresponding counters. Registeel's an absolute tank. We're counting the Reggie moves here, as we may have been able to get away with one more Hex, but I didn't want to play it too closely there, as we are able to KO the opponent's Registeel with the Surf, and we will be able to KO the opponent's Lantern with one more Surf, as the Ghost Jelly calls game, sweeping the opponent's final two Pokemon. Well played by them. Thank you for the match. Jellicent is cracked. Let's go. Hopping into the next battle, we have a familiar lead, Shadow Mawile, the Fire Fang user, on the lead against our Jellicent. Now, luckily for us, the opponent safe swaps into a Registeel this time, not into a Golisopod, meaning we will have some counterplay into them. We're going to counter their swap with our Lucario, and we can easily shield up the opponent's charge move here. It's just going to be the Focus Blast, not the Zap Cannon, so they will not be fishing for the debuff, but we can easily shield, farm the opponent all the way down. We're already buffed in our attack by one stage, and I'm just going to fire off this Power Up Punch immediately, boost our attack stat even further. Now we're +2 as fast as possible here, because we want to deal as much neutral damage, neutral counter damage into the opponent as possible. As Lucario is now +3, and you see, opponent, we were able to grab both of their shields as well as deal 75% of their HP. Opponent going to continue to dip, evade our Jellicent with their Mawile, but like this, we're able to counter down the opponent's Kartana, and we can also fire off one Drill Run, but the opponent FFs before we can call game. Well played by the opponent, and well played to all of my opponents today. Thank you for the fun matches, as Fossil Cup is here, and it is going to be an absolute crazy experience, as prepare yourself to see Lucario and other counter users everywhere. I'm not sure if that's how it's gonna go. That is my expectation. That is my prediction. As we demonstrated today, double counter is busted, but Lucario is insane in this meta. You see how much neutral damage it can do with counter, especially when it's able to boost its attack stat by 1 stage, by 2 stages. At the end there, we saw it boosted by 3 stages. And the reality is that what we said in the intro, nothing wants to see Lucario in this meta except for the hardest counter that we saw today, Golisopod, as well as maybe Araquanid also wouldn't mind as much, although Araquanid does not have the same fast move pressure. Running Bug Bite instead of Shadow Claw means it's not going to be pressuring Lucario as much, but still a decent counter to Lucario. So if you're looking for Lucario counters, I would say Golisopod for sure, Araquanid. Pelipper seems like a decent option because it's a flying type, but Pelipper is a frail bird and it will be receiving some hefty damage. Those counters will start to add up, especially as Lucario becomes boosted in its attack stat. But if you made it this far in the video, let me know down below in the comment section, what Pokemon are you excited to run in this limited cup? What Pokemon are you trying to build a team around? What Pokemon would you like me to build a team around? If you have any suggestions or recommendations, please feel free to let me know. But that's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for stopping by. Remember to enjoy the small things. Peace.